is a day we remember. We remember those who laid down their lives for those who have come after them. And today we remember the children who have come after them, those who need our care and support. And what a good news it is that we're doing this with our God, who is God with us, Emmanuel, who has come as a child who needed support and who has also given up his life for us.
God sets the lonely in families. A father to the fatherless, a defender of widows, he is God and his name is well. God sets the lonely in families. He defends the cause of the fatherless. That God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this: to look after orphans and widows in their distress, and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world.
We serve a God who loves the vulnerable. He is unafraid to draw near to us in our brokenness. He loves us, protects us, and welcomes us into his family. And then he calls us to do the same. On Pure Religion Sunday, churches around the world join God on this mission, to draw near to the vulnerable children and families, to love, protect, and welcome them. Whether you bring a child into your home through foster care or adoption, support foster or biological families, or get involved in global orphan care, everyone can do something to care for the vulnerable. What's your something?
This morning, each of us will have a chance to see what it is that is our something. And I would like to invite us to examine, where do the ideas about orphans, children from vulnerable places, children in hard places, how have these ideas for us have been formed? What do we think about when we hear the word adoption, foster care? One of my earliest introductions to orphans was through art. In our textbooks in Russian schools, we had reproductions of many famous art. And some of it was very, very sad. This painting, called Orphans, was painted by Nikolai Kasatkin in 1891. In the world where we see so many images, through pictures, through paintings, and scroll right through, it's easy to do the same with something like this. So I want to invite you to pause and enter into this image and ask the Lord to show you something he wants you to see. So let's take a deep breath and look. What do you see? Look at the sky. Notice the background. Look at the trees. What season is it? Who do you see? Where are these children? Why are they there? Why are the children alone in a cemetery? What do you feel as you look at the children? Place yourself in the painting. Imagine that you're standing not far from the children. Feel the air on your skin. Is it cool? Is it warm? Picture that you're so close to the children, you can reach them. What is your impulse? Do you want to stay and let them be? Or is there anything you want to tell them? something you want to do for them. Don't force yourself to do or say what's not in your heart. Is the Lord saying anything to you? Listen. Now it's time to respond to the Lord. Tell him how you feel looking at this painting. If a prayer is stirring in your heart, offer it to the Lord. Keep this feeling with you and the impression that the Lord has put on your heart as we go through the rest of the service. This was one of the introductions, like I said, to my early childhood, the one that stirred sorrow and compassion for the children. And there was another story that stayed with me ever since I was a child. All I could remember was the name, Mio, my Mio. I remembered the red head the boy had. I remembered that there was a king who was his father. And I remembered the music. Has anybody heard of this story? Nobody. It was written by Astrid Lindgren, the author of Pippi Longstockings. And for whatever reason, in the USSR, where I grew up, her stories were very popular. And let me tell you, Pippi is just one of them. And many children in her stories have had either troubled childhood or have been orphaned. So Mio was one of them. And although the details of the story had grown blurry in my mind, the music stayed with me. And so I watched the movie the other day, and I wanted to share it with you. Not the movie, the song. I remember that the boy was sad and that he had trouble. And as I watched it, the story came back to me. One of those core memories that once it's unlocked, you can feel yourself being a child again. In the story, Mio, or Bosse as he goes by in his real life, is growing up in quite an abusive situation in an adoptive family. He's not loved, he's criticized constantly, and he's just really, really trying to be good. And then I remembered, where is the king? So who is the king? Who is this father? And as I was watching, yes, of course, I was reminded that Mio was then taken to the land of far away, where, of course, he found his father, and of course, his father was the king. And Mio, with his committed, faithful friend, goes to slay a villain and frees the children. And by the way, it was, in case there are movie buffs here, it was indeed Christian Bale in one of his very, very early roles here. And as I was watching the movie, I was really sad because I realized that while it was a very special story to me as a child, what I didn't realize, what the story did not tell me, is that it was a dream. Mio was trying to escape the reality he was living. And his father, the king, was not real. So as I sat with that, I wondered what other stories have formed mine and other people's idea of orphans, adoption, the idea that if only there was something or someone who could come and fix it all, everything's going to be all right. The Father, who is the King, will come. The villains will be slain. All the demons of the past will be gone. All the trauma of abandonment by your birth parents will be gone. Everything's going to be all right forever and ever. And of course, there are many stories. Oliver Twist, Harry Potter, Prince Caspian. And have you noticed how most of the superheroes have grown either in adoptive or foster families? I've heard it said that perhaps it's just an easy way to deal with the parents who otherwise would have had to worry through the whole story about all the crazy things that go on. and of course Inigo Montoya, for those of you who love The Princess Bride. Not only fictional characters, but the real-life characters have impacted our lives through their writings. Leo Tolstoy and J.R. Tolkien and Steve Jobs and Coco Chanel and Bach and Nelson Mandela and Marilyn Monroe. But just because these people are famous and have impacted our lives in some way through their art or their work in other areas, still doesn't mean that the Father was the King and the land of far away has fixed everything. If you read the stories of the people represented in these pictures, and these are just a few that I was able to quickly find, you will see their trauma of abandonment has journeyed with them, has affected their life. So yes, foster care is less about getting a child for your family and more about giving your family for a child. When we bring what we have to the children who are alone, we enter into their brokenness. A couple more, the most famous ones, who have formed the Canadian view of orphans, of course, is Anne of Green Gables. And although the old movie, for those of you who liked watching it, stirs up all these wonderful, warm feelings, it is Anne with an E, one of the most recent productions that I found represents a child who had experienced what Anne had gone through quite accurately. Her flashbacks, her struggle with connection, her struggle with self-worth. These are the things that children who have been abandoned by their birth parents or have been taken away from their birth parents, that's what they carry. There's no easy fix, but there is hope. We're going somewhere with this. Pollyanna, I heard it said before coming to Canada, I didn't know about Pollyanna, but when I was living here for quite a few years, I heard Pollyanna this, Pollyanna that, like that when somebody was happy-go-lucky, they were called Pollyanna. I don't know if it's common perception, so I decided to read the book. And I wept through most of it because it was so sad. The child, through her game of make-believe and of finding something good in everything, literally in everything, she was just trying to survive. She was trying to bring something good into something very dark. This was her way of coping. Because the reality is that you simply cannot bring brokenness into your home and not be broken by it. So the children who have the brokenness in them don't just get healed instantly. So what do we do? Now what? One of the authors that I really respect and one of the people who has influenced me on my journey, his name is Jason Johnson, and he, amongst other books, has written a book called Everyone Can Do Something. Jason Johnson is a pastor, adoptive, and foster dad, and this is the message that he and his team have been carrying for years and years and years. And we've been doing this prayer Sunday since 2018, and every year, this is the message we try to bring, that while not everyone is called to foster or adopt, everyone can do something. Every one of us can do something. For Anne, for Pollyanna, for Mio, for Steve Jobs, for Marilyn Monroe, all these people who were once children longing to belong. So, what can we do? We can adopt. If you can't adopt, we can foster. If we can't foster, we can advocate. Advocate for the children and their families. If we can't advocate, we can donate. If we can't donate, we can volunteer. Okay, if we can't volunteer, we can educate. All right, we don't know what we educate about. I need to learn what I am to present. Okay, then we need to learn and learn and learn. And if we don't have time or resources even for that, we pray, pray, pray. Because while not everyone is called to foster or adopt, we all can do something. I have said it a few times before how much it meant to us when the church came around our family, when overnight we went from 1 child to 3 through foster care. And those 2 months of meals, car rides, holding the baby. It was a lifesaver for us. It was the craziest 2 months of my life, somewhere there. But it was also such a great blessing. And it was very humbling and a blessing experience to see what it looks like when one family opens the home, the children who need a home, and the rest of the community comes around. We can do something, all of us. I want to share a quick story. You know, there's a lot of myths and perceptions that we have about foster care, adoption, and how people end up there, why people are poor and this and that, and why children are taken away. I have a friend, and all of us have friends. I'll back up here. These stories are all around us, and sometimes it's easier to look at them from a distance. I have a friend who is Ukrainian, and she is married to a man from Belarus, and she was living there. And when the full-scale war broke out, she did something that no pastor or other man in Belarus have found courage to do because of KGB and other risks to their life and their families. She coordinated passage for Ukrainians who were escaping occupied areas into Russia, and then through Belarus were escaping to Europe. She coordinated escape of thousands of people in the course of 2.5 years, day and night. And as I would get her voicemails, because that's how we talked, she would leave me 30, 40-minute voicemail. She was so exhausted, she couldn't type, but she could talk. And I could hear months after months after month her going down. Her health was breaking down. Her mental health, I think, was really going. She had no energy. And eventually she moved to Poland with her 3 children. And I got a message from her yesterday. And it really broke my heart. She is losing her faith because she just cannot reconcile everything that's going on with a loving God. And what she is fighting against is that her youngest child is now struggling so much at school. He is 7, he's the youngest, and he was 4 when the whole thing broke out with the war. And so he's stuck somewhere in 4-year-old development. He is in a new country, he's still learning the language, he's fighting his teachers, literally physically fighting his teachers. And a Ukrainian lady who works at the school called her and said, "You should take him for home education because they're going to take him away." So the child services are involved. She now has this child at home. She couldn't find a day job. Now she has to find a night job. Her health is still not good. Her mental health, I think she's holding by the thread. She said, "If it wasn't for the kids, I don't know if I would still be here." This was a woman of faith that I had not seen in many other people. She's breaking down, but she has to hold on for these 3 children. She is trying to feed them on $8 a day because that's what she's making driving a car at night. And there is a threat that her child will be taken away. And her husband is still in Belarus, somehow not willing to move to Poland. What do we do? What do we do? Well, we can pray. We can pray for her. We can pray for her child because while, yes, she could have done other things to be with her son when he needed her at 4 years old, she was torn with the plea of thousands of people who needed help. So not everything is black and white when it comes to foster care. Biological parents are really, we all, like everyone else, are doing their best. Yes, there are situations when it's a clear abuse and children need to be taken away, obviously. That's why social services exist. That's why there are judges, police, and other community members. But also, there is a bigger community around. And we can come alongside struggling birth families. What does she need now? Well, she probably could use some financial support. She could use prayer. And yes, she could learn things to help her son. But right now, she's literally holding by the thread. So as we pray at the end, if the story touched your heart, would you pray for Oksana and her family? Oh, hang in there. When it comes to learning, there's so many resources we can educate ourselves by. Literally, videos about trauma care, videos and courses about understanding poverty, books, But what if we don't know where to go? Well, I want to share a resource that our team, that Tim and I have been working with since 2016, called Care Impact. Our team has developed a tool that we're very excited to share with you. It has just been released, and it's not self-promotion. We just been really passionate about working on this tool to equip the church, so we want to share it. Canadian church specifically, yes. We need the sound.
You don't need me to convince you that relationships are important. We all desire and crave that meaningful connection, to be seen, to be known, to belong, just as we are. And so do those around you, your family, your church, your neighborhood. So if God created us for a relationship, to love Him and to love our neighbors, isn't it time that we got serious about it? To level up our relationships? So whether you're an introvert, an extrovert, your well-being and those around you are dependent on healthy relationships for mutual flourishing. It's easy to think of building healthy community as more of an ideology or aspiration, a luxury that we'll one day get to, or something some have and others don't. But I got good news for you. Neighbor Up is a 6-session journey for small groups, designed to practically help you grow in relational spiritual maturity. Whether you're relationally thriving or feeling alone, you will find meaningful ways to level up in everyday connections around you. It's not a course about becoming experts. It's about becoming more authentically present together, especially with the ones hidden in plain sight. Each session includes a short video to spark honest conversation, a leader's guide to make it simple to host, and reflection to take it from the head to the heart. Your workplace, your neighborhood, your family. This is for people who want more than just talk, who want connection where growth, care, and calling can take root. Because connection, meaningful connection, changes everything. You won't be handed a list of things to do. You'll be invited to listen, to ask better questions, to notice where God is already at work through one conversation, one act of service, one unexpected moment of grace. Neighbor Up helps your group grow, not by doing more, but by seeing differently. If your church or community is looking for something real, something that reconnects faith with everyday life, this is your invitation. You don't need to fix the whole world. Just start by showing up for each other, for your neighbors. That's a different kind of yes, and it could change everything.
So yes, this has been created specifically for Canadian church by Canadian geeky team loving Jesus. You can do the whole geeky thing by taking this QR code if you want to learn more about the Neighbor Up resources. But that is just one in literally million of resources available out there. So as we see, some of us are called to foster and adopt. In this beautiful picture, we can see people in the orange who have adopted or are fostering, people in the yellow who are still considering or waiting. There's also waiting families who are ready to adopt or foster and are still waiting. And then there is the rest of us who are able to bring supplies, give a ride, make muffins, literally cut carrots and show up at the door and mow the lawn. You know, all those things that really take time when you are present with a child who is broken. And the brokenness entered your home and you are entering into that brokenness. You could use a hand. And that will be just as valuable. Because it's true that it takes a village to raise a child. And it still takes a village to raise a child who had been growing up without his birth or her birth families. So I want to invite two of the families who are in the yellow, in the midst of us. Kate and Nate Wood and Carlos. Will Carlos, I'm so sorry. Megan isn't here, so please come on over. We're going to get you guys a microphone. You can just Oh, there you go. So we have a few questions for you guys, and we're so thankful that you, first of all, are here, and you agreed to share your story. I will ask you the same questions, and you can answer them as you wish. So do you want to go first?
Sure.
So first question is, what part of the process are you in? Like, where are you in that circle? I have kind of given, well, it's gone. Okay, well, what part of the process are you in?
The waiting.
Waiting.
Yeah.
And how has it been?
Reminds me of that John Mayer song. So we're still waiting. It's been a long time. I meant to ask Megan our actual timeline because she's better at months and timing, but we have to get our safe assessment redone because it's been,
Over
I forget if it's been 1 year or 2 years since we were
Yes.
since our safe assessment was done. So yeah, it's been a lot of waiting, and we've seen the way it works is you see profiles of kids that are might be a good fit both ways, you for them and them for you, and we've seen one profile over the last year and a half.
Okay, so you're waiting to adopt a child, right?
Oh, sorry, yes, that's all for adoption. So we
Yes.
had thought there's such a need. It's gonna be challenging because our heart's gonna be pulled to all these kids that we're gonna be seeing profiles of, and then really it's been one, and that's been the more challenging part of it. So we're waiting.
So there's a system there that is also happening. But we sometimes see some children with you who come. Could you please share about that?
Once or maybe twice.
Twice.
Yeah. Oh, since yeah. So we also do foster respite care. So we don't have kids for foster care full time, but we have them with us for weekends or 10-day at a time or a week at a time. And we've had the same two kids as a brother and sister that have come to be with us, I think 5 or 6 times now, and so they've come to church once or twice.
So it's a thing. You can be ready to adopt, but you are forced to foster. But if you're not ready to foster full time, you can do respite. Is that correct?
Yeah, so and that's a new thing. So when we first went through the courses, initially you could only do one, foster or adopt, and then as we were going through, they changed it so that you could foster while you're waiting to adopt. And so foster respite for us works really well. I mean, we're on the list to foster also, but that hasn't happened yet either. So we're even waiting to foster.
Okay, thank you. I'll ask the same question to Kate and Nate. So what are you guys in your process?
So we started the very first steps of our application about 5 years ago. So if anyone else is considering these steps, it takes a long times of paperwork and waiting. We were just 2 weeks ago approved for adoption.
Woohoo!
Yeah. And so our foster application is just a few weeks behind that. So hopefully we'll find out soon about fostering. But yeah, it was a long process with a lot of meetings and training and paperwork. And they came to our house and did our home study. And but I think we're almost through it.
Okay. Well, then I will keep the next question. Why did you decide to engage in adoption and foster care? Like, what? We have 3 kids. What?
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess that line in James is just so central to, it's like a core tenet of our faith is, what religion is pure, and so it's hard to read that and then just go back to our daily lives, dismiss it, and get distracted. And so for us, that was huge. Like working with at-risk youth for 10 years for myself and Kate, 13, 14, 15 years, and seeing these youth, these young kids that have been physically, emotionally, and sexually abused throughout their lives. And the need was there. The need was not consistently met by groups of people. And and so with that kind of, like, obviously Jesus loves all of us, and I think when we look through Scripture, we just see him reaching down into, like, these people living in shame and just so much sadness and brokenness. And And I think, yeah, for me, that just kind of like broke my heart. Like you were saying, like if you welcome the brokenness into your home, you can't help but feel that. And working in a facility where we could see that day in and day out was intense. And so, so there's that line in James, but if you go back to, I think, James 1:22, when it talks about listening and doing, and we can hear the word, and we can listen as well as we want, as intentionally as we can. It's not until we're actually doing, till the Holy Spirit is in us. But it's easy to quench this Holy Spirit and just get really excited about the idea of doing this. And so I just kind of got tired of that. I think Dietrich Bonhoeffer once said, like, there's this idea that we love the community, we love supporting and rallying behind people, but then there's this gap between actually doing it and loving it. And so I just kind of got thinking, like, we need to lock in here and just commit ourselves to this work.
Thank you for sharing that. Well, what about you? Why did you and Megan decide to apply for adoption?
I decided when I was a teenager that I wanted to adopt, and on my first date with Megan, I shared about that.
Okay, brave woman.
Because I had traveled to Nepal and volunteered with at an orphanage and at school teaching English, and it was amazing for a lot of different reasons. But that made a big impression on me, and so I always wanted that. And for a long time, Megan and I didn't really want kids necessarily, but adoption was always there in the background. So years later, when we decided to have kids, we always thought it would be a mix of both. And adoption and fostering. And I always had this vision, this idealized vision in my head when I was a teenager that, as an adult, I would be in such a position that I could have the kind of house where we'd basically be fostering older kids that were later in the, 13, 14, 15, 16 that might age out of the system, but that they could have a house and a place to come to, even if it's not the perfect home in their minds, that they didn't grow up there, but they would always have a place to come back to. I don't know if that's still in the cards, but fostering and adopting for sure. And Megan, I don't know where that came in for her. They used to foster when she was a kid, so I think that was always on her heart as well. But I decided a very long time ago.
Thank you guys for walking into that. Last question, real brief, but do tell us, how can we as the church come alongside you at this stage and when children come to you? Through respite care, through foster care, or adoption? Give us a couple ideas if you have any.
Prayers, of course, and prayers for moving through ambivalence, I think, would be the one for myself and for Megan, because it's been long enough now that there's all the excitement and it's the roller coaster of your heart opens and you really want to welcome a child right away, and then the wait, and then so you naturally close down and the vulnerability disappears because it's just so hard to keep your heart open, and then getting ambivalent of similar to when someone says, when you're dating as a teenager, like, I want to be with you, I don't want to be with you, and then eventually you emotionally kind of give up. And so I think that's where Megan and I are right now, is emotionally. We're still doing everything. We're too A-type to not respond to the emails and participate and do all the things. But emotionally, I think we're both pretty closed off. So prayers. And then when we have kids that come, the few times that they do come with foster respite, to just be wonderful and normal. Don't make it weird. Just being your normal, wonderful self, and not feeling the need to over love or overextend, but just be your normal, natural, awesome self.
Thank you. What about you guys? How can the church come alongside you now and when you have children through foster care and adoption?
Great question. Thank you for opening the floor up to that. We know that for adoption, they've told us it's going to be, I think they said 3 to 6 years before, because we want quite a young child. We want a child younger than our youngest, who's 5. So we know it's going to be quite a wait. We're thinking fostering will probably happen sooner. So just praying for those steps and for everything to go smoothly. And right now we're preparing our spare room to be a foster child's room. So just praying over that process. And when a child does come, helping, like anything.
Well, yeah.
Real short.
Yeah. Why did I get that?
I know, Nate. It's a challenge.
Anyway, yeah, well, and like what you said, Will, like just that normalcy or whatever. It's not like, hey, which one of you are like, and so I think that like the church is already doing this in so many ways where it's like coming to church here and like just a moment ago when, Candace is holding 2 or 3 kids in her arms and then Tim's like, hey, and then just reached out, hey, and just helping out one another in those small ways that are actually such a beautiful, tangible expression of God's love for us. And so, yeah, just kicking a soccer ball, enjoying time with the family, and coming alongside and living life together with us.
But
kinda-
basically treating
yeah.
a family like you have a newborn, no matter how old the newborn is, right?
Yeah.
Meal trains, come for a play date. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
Yeah, you could train some meals over. I don't know.
There you go.
But
We'll do that. Well, thank you guys. We're transitioning into a time of prayer, and we will be praying for your families as well. Thank you so much for sharing. Bless you. Bless you. We do have a few minutes left, but we will be praying. This is a very interesting space to pray, so I invite us to form groups of 2 or 3. Don't move around. Just if you can turn around, you can turn towards each other, you can turn back. Form groups of 2, 3 people. Choose 1, 2, maybe 3 points to pray for. Something that God stirred your heart on. We'll pray for children who are waiting to belong, children who are with their biological families but live in abusive situations, children who want to be reunited and need to be reunited with their biological families, for families waiting to adopt, for families who have adopted, for fostering biological families, for all the community members involved, social workers, judges, police, and other. Pray for the church and ask the Lord, what is your piece in the child welfare puzzle? Pick 1 or 2 things. Maybe a story stood out to you. Maybe you'll pray for Will and Megan's family, or Kate and Nate's family. Pray for the children who are already coming to their family. We'll take a few minutes and then we'll close. So form your little groups and take time to pray.
In this prayerful space, I'll just invite the worship team to come. They have one more song to lead our hearts in this place of prayer, and I'll just pray, and you can continue to pray in your little group, continue to pray in your heart. Our Father who is in heaven, our Father who is father to the fatherless and mother to the motherless, our Father who is in heaven, may your name be kept holy here in our hearts. May pure religion come from our prayers and our lives this week. May you call us in practical ways, in ways that are personal to us, so that we know what is it that we can do. Not overwhelmed by the need, not overwhelmed by what we cannot do or we don't know how to do, but that we would be moved by your heart. You are our Father, our Abba, our Daddy. May your name be kept holy, and may your kingdom come right here on earth, right into the homes of the families that are fostering, that are adopting, and those children who have grown to teens that need care, and those who have grown into adults and are parenting their own children without that sense of father and mother that you are to us. God, we ask that you come in these spaces, in these places. And we ask, it's a brave and a scary ask, but we ask that you come there through us, the church. We know it will be messy and we know it will hurt. We know it is because many of us have stepped in some way into someone's life and it's been hard and it is hard and we get tired. But you are the one who we are calling for your kingdom to come and for your will to be done right here on earth, right here in the Annapolis Valley, just as it is in heaven. And we know it's you that will give us and all of these children and youth and adults our daily bread, what we need today to make it through today. So we come to you for our daily bread, and we come to you to forgive us. Forgive us even as we forgive those who hurt us. And we ask you to lead us not into temptation, as James reminds us in the other half of that verse, but not to lead us into temptation, to keep ourselves unspotted from the world, yes, but to lead us not into temptation, but to deliver us from the evil one, and to be us as the church that can walk into those spaces and see deliverance come to others too, Jesus. Because it's your kingdom and your power and your glory that we seek forever and ever.